Hello, friends. Welcome back to Easy Talk English, the place where learning English feels easy and fun. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner struggles with: overthinking. Yes, that moment when you want to speak, but your brain suddenly freezes. When words are there somewhere in your mind, but they don't come out of your mouth. When you keep thinking, is this correct? What if I make a mistake? What if people laugh? And in the end, you say nothing. Have you ever felt like that? Don't worry, you're not alone. You see, overthinking is one of the biggest walls between you and fluent English. But the good news is you can break that wall. You can speak English without fear, without pressure, and without that voice in your head saying, "What if I'm wrong?" Because confidence doesn't come from knowing every rule. It comes from trusting yourself to speak, even when it's not perfect. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a man named Arjun. He had studied English for 10 years. He knew grammar, vocabulary, even idioms. But whenever he had to speak, he froze. One day he told me, I can write perfect English, but when I speak, my mind goes blank. Maybe you felt that too, right? So I asked him, what are you thinking before you speak? And he said, I think about grammar, tenses, pronunciation, and what the other person will think of me. And I smiled and said, that's the problem. Arjun, you're not speaking English, you're thinking English. That's what overthinking does. It fills your head with noise. It makes you worry about every little detail. But communication is not about perfection, it's about connection. People don't care if your grammar is perfect. They care if they can understand you and if you sound confident. Let me ask you something. When a small child speaks your language and makes mistakes, do you laugh at them? No. You find it cute. You encourage them. You understand what they mean, even if they use the wrong word. The same thing happens when you speak English. Native speakers and fluent people don't expect perfection, they just want to understand your message. So, why do we overthink? The answer is simple: fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. But here's the truth: mistakes are not the enemy. Mistakes are your best teachers. You can't learn to swim without getting wet, right? In the same way, you can't learn to speak without speaking. Let's do a little imagination exercise. Imagine you're at a cafe. Someone next to you asks, "Hey, where are you from?" You know the answer, right? But your brain suddenly starts thinking, should I say I am from Pakistan or I'm from Pakistan? Should I say I live in Karachi or I am living in Karachi? And while your brain is choosing, the moment passes. You smile awkwardly and you say nothing. Now imagine a different version of the same moment. The person asks, "Hey, where are you from?" And you simply smile and say, "I'm from Pakistan." Maybe your pronunciation is not perfect. Maybe your grammar has a tiny mistake. But guess what? You spoke. You connected. And the conversation started. That's what matters. Speaking English without overthinking is about changing your focus from correctness to communication, from fear to expression, from what if to let's try. When you speak, don't listen to that negative voice in your head. That voice that says you'll sound stupid, you'll make a mistake, they'll laugh. That voice is lying to you. It's trying to protect you from embarrassment, but in reality, it's stopping your growth. You have to tell that voice, "Thank you, but I'm okay. I can do this," because you can. You've already learned so much. You already understand English. The next step is just to trust your words. Let's think about this. How do children learn a language? Do they study grammar first? No, they just speak. They make hundreds of mistakes, but they don't care. They learn through using the language. That's how you learned your first language, and that's how you can learn English too. When you speak English, don't try to build perfect sentences in your head before opening your mouth. Just start with what you can say. Even small sentences are fine. I like this. That's beautiful. I don't understand. Can you repeat, please? These are simple but powerful. The more you use them, the more your confidence grows. And when you get stuck, don't panic. Just keep going. For example, if you forget a word, describe it. Let's say you forget the word umbrella. You can say, the thing we use when it rains. People will understand you. This is called real communication. Overthinking also comes from comparing yourself to others. Maybe you hear someone speaking fluently and you think, wow, they're so good. I'll never speak like that. But you don't see their journey. Maybe they've practiced for years. Maybe they've lived abroad. You're only seeing their result, not their process. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You are on your own path, and that path is beautiful. When you stop comparing, your mind relaxes. And when your mind relaxes, your words start to flow. Sometimes we overthink because we try to translate from our language into English. For example, you think in Urdu, Hindi, Arabic, or Spanish, and then you try to find English words for your thoughts. That takes time and creates confusion. Instead, try to think in simple English. You don't need complicated words. For example, instead of thinking, I am feeling extremely exhausted today, you can think, I am very tired today. Same meaning, easier to say. Thinking in English starts small, maybe one sentence, one thought. For example, when you wake up, say in your mind, it's morning, I am hungry, I will make breakfast. Small, simple thoughts. That's how you train your brain to stop translating. Also, remember, confidence grows from action, not from waiting. If you wait to feel confident before speaking, you'll wait forever. You become confident by speaking, even if you make mistakes. Even if you feel nervous, speak anyway, because every time you speak, your brain learns that it's safe, that nothing bad happens, and slowly the fear goes away. Here's a trick you can use. Before you speak, take one deep breath. Then tell yourself it's okay if it's not perfect. This small sentence gives your brain permission to relax, and when your brain is relaxed, your English sounds more natural. You can also practice speaking alone. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. For example, now I'm making tea. Now I'm checking my phone. Now I'm going to the market. It might feel silly at first, but it works because you're training your brain to speak without judgment. Overthinking disappears when English becomes part of your daily life, not something special or scary. Watch English videos, listen to podcasts, talk to friends, think in English. Make it a habit. The more familiar it feels, the less fear you'll have. And remember, fluency is not about speed, it's about comfort. You don't need to speak fast to sound fluent. You just need to speak naturally. Even native speakers pause, think, and use and you know. So if you pause, that's okay too. You're not a robot, you're a human learning a language. Sometimes we think too much because we care too much. We want to be good. We want people to respect us. But people respect honesty more than perfection. So instead of saying nothing, say something. Even if it's not perfect, your courage will speak louder than your mistakes. Let me tell you something powerful. The moment you stop trying to be perfect, you start to sound fluent because fluency is not about speaking without mistakes. It's about speaking without fear. Fear. I want you to imagine your future self, confident, relaxed, smiling, speaking English naturally. That person is you. You just need to take small steps every day to become that version of yourself. So from today, promise yourself three things. One, I will not overthink when I speak English. Two, I will not be afraid of mistakes. Three, I will enjoy every word I say. Because English is not a test, it's a tool. It's here to help you express your ideas, your dreams, your story. You already have everything you need to speak well, the grammar, the vocabulary, the knowledge. It's all inside you. You just have to let it come out without judgment. And when you start doing that, something magical happens. Your words flow, your mind feels free. You stop worrying about what others think. You stop listening to that negative voice in your head. You start listening to yourself. That's how you turn fear into freedom. That's how you speak English without overthinking. So, next time you have a chance to speak, don't wait. Don't plan. Just speak. Smile, breathe, and say what you want to say. Because every time you speak, you become a little more confident, a little more fluent, a little more you. Thanks for watching Easy Talk English. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Keep practicing and see you in the next video. And tell me in the comments, what do you overthink the most when you speak English? And what small step will you take today to stop overthinking and start speaking freely?